It is rock and roll time. You smell that? It smells like an assembly sandwich mixed with a little bit of appreciation. Thank you well in advance, Shayna Simmons, for allowing me the honor of assembling your trampoline. I'm gonna go ahead and get set up, keep the show going. Nice, nice. You coming from somewhere far or? No?
Just running work errands.
Gotcha. So this is the trampoline here?
Yes, sir.
All right. And do you guys have any idea, would you like to get it placed or where would you like it set up?
Just back here for now, because we're putting the fence up.
Yeah, I'll set that up right there. It shouldn't take too long, maybe a couple hours from the picture that you submitted in the quote. I looked at it and I'm like, that shouldn't take too long.
Do you mind if I run out?
No, absolutely. No. Please, I don't want to shackle you here for any reason. If anything comes up or if I need to ask you anything, I'll just shoot you a text. I've got like waters and stuff like that in the car. If I need to seek refuge in the shade, I will. I can see that. No, absolutely. All right, let's get this party started. So here's a cool story about our customer today, Shayna. She's actually the niece of our beloved customer, Renee. She's like almost like the customer matriarch of Prime Spaces, if you will. And a couple weeks ago, she had texted me, said, "Hey, Auntie, my niece just bought a trampoline and I'm sending her your way." I said, well, we will receive her with open arms. And so today's a special assembly because, our customership is now becoming generational. And that is attributed to good relationships, being honest, being on time, providing good service, and then also giving tips and tricks when you can. So for example, Renee, and just to reiterate, we've been assembling and disassembling her trampoline for just about 4 years now. And every time I assemble the trampoline, it looks brand new because maintenance is required for these outdoor pieces of equipment. And so I'm gonna be providing the same exact service for Shayna, hopefully for years to come while the kids enjoy the trampoline. So I thought that was a pretty cool story to share with you guys. And hopefully if you're someone who's looking to have either trampoline assembled, basketball hoop, furniture, no matter what, hopefully we can establish that relationship with you. But in the meantime, I hope that these videos are entertaining and at least give or start building confidence in our ability to provide quality service. So let's keep it moving and see what we got. So I can't remember exactly which trampoline I'm putting together right now. It didn't sound like it was one that I could remember doing, but at the same time, that could not be the case. I put together so many trampolines, and so it's funny when you are doing something that you perceive you're not going to be familiar with, or maybe you're just outright not familiar with, you kind of get butterflies, and it's because you don't know the outcome. So for example, there's some trampolines that I've put together hundreds of times, and literally it's like I don't even need the directions, so I already know the outcome. This one, I don't know if there's going to be a small nuance or something that, some weird step that makes the assembly a little bit longer. There's all these factors that go into doing new items, but at the same time, I know that I've assembled so many trampolines that no matter what happens, I know I'm going to conquer this trampoline. So I always found that interesting about human beings, and why sometimes we don't go after or do things that are out of our comfort zone or do things that we haven't done before. It's because it's the fear of not knowing how is this going to turn out. But I'm going to go ahead and start getting unpacked. I know how this is going to turn out. There's going to be an awesome trampoline built right behind us in about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, because I'm going to be spending a little bit of time with you guys. But I know that I'm going to provide the best service that I possibly can to Shayna and her kids. All right, guys, today is pretty warm out, so we have to definitely work smart. So if I'm looking here, this is a pretty big backyard, so I got to seek refuge or set up somewhere where my tools can be cool. So I think I'm going to move my stuff over here in the shade, and you know what? I might even possibly set it up in the shade. So maybe over here just to assemble it, and then I'll move it when it is appropriate. So I think that's what I'm going to do in order to not have to build this in the sun. So we have here the two main boxes that this trampoline comes in. Look like they're in pretty good shape. Kudos to the delivery company that got these two boxes here in one piece. It's a small kind of puncture here, but this is a pretty heavy box, so any small drop is gonna have an effect on this box, and you can see that it's in pretty good shape. So let's see what we got opening it up. All right, pretty good packaging. It's got the top foam pad that's gonna protect the springs from being exposed right here on the top. They also got a little basketball hoop here to be built in. Okay, the foam pad. Then you got parts and pieces. You got the hardware. You got the oops. There we go. See that kind of scattered. Yeah. So you can see here, this got punctured during the transportation of this. The box itself is in good shape, but this particular packaging is not. So I'm sure there's gonna be some screws and things like that on the bottom. So let's see how the springs came. See here that there are lots of parts that are kind of scattered here. It's black plastic parts that are scattered. Also see screws down here. Now that would be really problematic if this box had holes in it, right? So then that means that those screws, okay, that necessary hardware would have fallen through the box and we would have lost it. But luckily, this box is in pretty good shape still. Alright, so now we have the second box that is opened right now. It looks like it's in pretty good shape, but you never know what lies underneath the beast. So, saw the instruction manual. Got a ladder for the kids. Got the net. Spring pad, jumping mat. So as you can see, the springs made their way out of the plastic that they came in. And if this box, had holes and it was badly damaged on the outside, that would have been a really, really big issue because now we're missing springs. So in terms of the box actually being, the boxes actually being in good shape, that is true. They did come pretty intact. But if we're talking about the springs and the hardware and stuff like that, they definitely did not pass the test. Got everything unpacked and out the gates. Even though I have not assembled this trampoline, I already know how this thing is going to go together, and I already have a plan of attack before even opening the trampoline instruction manual. I know that these blue parts and these blue parts will go together, and if I look at the top here, I can tell that's going to be the top part of the pole. And these ones, since there's a black cap, this might be the bottom part of the pole. All right, so I'm going to start putting those together, and then after that I'm going to put together these outside frames. I already know that they all go together because they're all the same, and you just gotta put them together. It's pretty simple. And then these are the legs right here. I'm probably going to need to connect those legs to these small poles here using our hardware. So just flexing a little bit, just showing my expertise a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and get this started and enjoy. Hey guys, so as you see here, I am just going through and I'm putting these small bolts into their place to connect the legs. What I'm doing is just finger tightening them so that I can just go in one fell swoop for all the legs and close them up or tighten them. So I'm gonna do that to the other side here as well. All right guys, so I just finger tightened all of these. I didn't go through and use a drill to fully tighten them because these legs are gonna go around that frame that I just assembled over there. And at the top of that frame are gonna be holes that have to line up with these holes here. I'm not sure if you can see it. And so if I restrict the bottom piece here, it could potentially not align with the frame that's over there. So it doesn't do me any good to tighten all these right now. So what I'm gonna do right now is, see here, there's a little bit of wiggle room. So what I'm gonna do is go set these legs up over there on the frame, and then I'm gonna finger tighten the top of these legs to the frame, and then I can finally use this guy. You should not over tighten those bolts before you put the entire frame together. So if I come over here, right, or let me actually find one that's not really aligned, right? So take this one for example, right? You can see that this one is connected, but let's say for example, if I had already tightened this, once I get to here, you can see that it's not really aligned, so it's loose. Maybe I can even push it a little bit more. But you see how it's really misaligned, right? So when you don't over tighten it, you give it a little bit of wiggle room in order for you to go all the way around and then start finger tightening the rest of them. So if I run over here, grab all my hardware and a little bit of grass to go with it, Now I can come over here and finger tighten this one, right? So this particular leg is set to go, but I have to do the same for all of them, right? And once all of the bolts are pre-assembled and finger tightened, that's what you can go through and tighten the rest of them. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. Of some slight alignment issues. So for the past minute or two, I've been kind of trying to fidget and get this perfectly lined up so you can connect it. But this one is towards the far edge. And if I try and wiggle it a little bit, it opens up a little bit. But then see, that one now popped out. So this one definitely has some alignment issues. So if I line this up and I go perfectly straight down, you can see that it misaligns. So this is why you really can't over tighten. This one is gonna take some wizardry to get everything fastened, but I think I should be able to do it, but we shall see how it goes. All right, so this misalignment issue of the legs and the frame is really starting to be a pain in the you-know-what. So with assemblies, obviously you'd like to just breeze through the assembly without any hiccups. And honestly, it's instances like this where having a professional is really, really important, because not only has this been time consuming, but it's also been a little frustrating just because my expectancy, I was expecting something to happen, but you don't have control over everything, right? So if you could see here, this bottom one is in. This is the most aligned I could get these holes. And my bolt that I have right here, it cannot catch. So what I'm gonna need to do is use one of my drill bits right here and make this notch right here, make this hole wider so that I can catch it. Again, it's just a method to kind of get that to open up. But again, it's an extra step that, if you don't have the right tools, this is gonna be super frustrating for any, average Joe or Joanna, okay, who's trying to put together assembly. Sometimes you'll need to have some weird specialized tools that you didn't think that you would need. So I'm gonna go ahead right now and use this drill bit to open up this entry and then keep it moving with the assembly. All right, so let's see if it did the trick. So it's set. Let's see if it will catch. So there we go. A little bit of frustration, but you know what? Now that it's over, I'm good to go. I'm gonna keep it moving. So now that all the bolts, okay, are attached to the entire frame, I can take my drill and now tighten everything. All right, guys, so this trampoline is slightly different than when you typically see. So this particular trampoline, where you have the mat and you have these springs, these rings right here, these kind of triangular rings right here, those actually don't get attached to the netting that's over here. So you'll have some trampolines where the bottom of the net has little holes and notches that loop into those triangular loops. So for this one, all you do is you just take the springs, okay, and you just start attaching them right here to these notches. And then in order to attach the netting, you're gonna put that on top of the poles. And then you just take these clips right here with the elastic, okay, and then those go underneath the frame and clip onto the rings. So I'll show you guys in a second, but this definitely just saved me, I'd say about 15, 20 minutes. All right, so we got the pad, spring pad, almost assembled. You can see that there's probably skipping every 10 or so. And so you guys know the rule. What you do to one side, you do to the direct opposite. So I'm gonna go ahead and do this row right here, and then I'm gonna go to the opposite and do the same to get this entire mat assembled properly. All right, we are looking good, folks. Look at that. Doesn't that just make you want to jump on it? I can't wait to get my jump on this trampoline. Another reason why I love what I do. How often do you get to jump on a trampoline? Not very often. Anyway, moving along. Next step is to take this foam pad right here, and this is gonna go around the springs so that no one's catching fingers and we remain safe. So I'm gonna go ahead and install that, and on the bottom of these are little straps right here that are gonna loop around the frame, and also these triangular loops right here. All right, moving along. If I look here in the instruction manual, right, and we move to the step where we are attaching, okay, the foam pad to the frame, it says all the cover pad strings onto the top rail of the trampoline. Okay, this isn't even in proper English, so I'm not even gonna bother with that. But if you can look at the picture here, you can see that the straps are supposed to be tied to the outside frame, right? So if you look at the pad though, look where the strings are located, right? They're all the way even towards the middle, maybe 3/4 over that way. So in order for me to tie it that way, I mean, it's gonna be really, really tough. What needs to happen is I need to move it all the way here, right? Now, if I move this pad right above this frame so that it ties easily, you can see that the springs here, okay, are gonna be exposed, which absolutely doesn't make sense. So what I'm gonna do, as a professional, I'm gonna make the call, because that's clearly a safety issue, is I'm going to take those straps right there, and I'm gonna tie them to this, to these loops right here, because that makes more sense. I'm way more concerned with the springs being exposed than I am following this instruction manual to a T. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and then show you guys what it looks like after it. But again, if you don't have experience doing these things, you might follow that instruction manual to a T and then find out that it doesn't look the way that it's supposed to, right? Just by common sense. Those springs aren't supposed to be exposed. But if I do it according to the instruction manual, you know, they're gonna be exposed. So I'm gonna go ahead and make that call and assemble it the way that I would assemble it, with common sense and having experience. And I'll show you guys what it looks like when I'm done. All right, folks, this looks like a properly installed foam pad for the springs. All right, so takes some intuition sometimes when you're doing these assemblies. So when we spot something, you know, we fix it on the spot. And again, if you know, you happen to come across us and you choose us to do an equipment assembly or furniture assembly, you know, this is the type of intuition that we bring to the table. I'm not gonna assemble this to the specifications of the instruction manual if I can see that it's gonna be a safety issue. Stay tuned. All right, next up is the poles, okay, that are gonna hold up the net. All right, so these are the top parts, these are the bottom part, and then we're gonna get the net, which is right behind me, and then we're gonna do the final assembly of getting the mat and the poles connected to the main frame right over there. All right, stay tuned. All right, guys, moving along. So you can see we've got all the poles assembled, and so the next step is to take each of the poles, right, and then basically get it set up at their post. So you see every every leg is gonna have these two holes, okay? And so those two holes are gonna line up with these two holes right here, okay? And so I'm gonna go ahead and do that and put them all around. And basically these black clips are gonna go in between the pole and in between the leg right here, like that. All right, so I'm gonna attempt to set this down while I demonstrate how I'm gonna do this, so bear with me. All right. All right, so each leg basically has the same exact setup. Each of them are gonna require 2 of these long bolts, 2 of these washers right here, and 2 of these small caps. I'm just gonna demonstrate how you apply one of them, and then I'm gonna do that for the rest of them, all right? I hope you're enjoying. All right, so the first thing I do, I'm gonna grab one of the long bolts and just place it through first hole. I'll do the same to the second hole, okay? And then on the back end, we're going to put the cap right here, do the same for the second one. So you see how they're in between like that. Let me grab the rest of my hardware. So what we do, we just align the bolts with the holes like this till it comes out on the other end. I'm sure you guys can't see that, but they're on the other end. And so now what I do is I grab my 2 washers, put it on the back like this, and the other on the other one. And then what I'm gonna do right now is finger tighten. I'm just gonna finger tighten this right now. Finger tighten the first one and then the second one as well. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and put all of these on, and then I'm gonna go through after it and then just tighten them all in one fell swoop using my drill. All right, guys, last step. I know it's almost over, but as you can see above my shoulders, we got the poles that are attached. And so now the last step is to take this net right here, and we're gonna slide the net over the poles. So you see these plastic sleeves that go all the way up and down? We're gonna slide those over those poles and then use those straps that I was talking to you guys about earlier, or that I showed you guys earlier. We're gonna use these straps right here to strap them to the outside frame. All right, so keep watching. Hope you're enjoying. Almost done. Let's get it. Okay guys, I have the outside netting partially assembled. I'm not sure if you guys haven't noticed yet, but I still have yet to tighten the pole legs. And the reason being is because I still needed to put this on here. Now, had I tightened these poles to the legs, it would be very, very, very difficult for me to be able to get these on. So I was able to get these on easily because I can move it back and forth in order to catch it from the bottom of this plastic sleeve. Had this been restricted and tightened, it would have been very, very difficult to get these over. So remember, in any situation, if you can avoid tightening the bolts or the screws or anything like that before the entire thing is set, do so, okay? Just wait to the end and it'll be a lot easier for you to complete the assembly, all right? So I'm gonna finish up and get these hooks right here. See these hooks that are hanging all the way around? All these hooks are gonna get hooked to the bottom of this frame once I pull all the sleeves down. Guys, so you can see the net has been attached and it looks like I'm locked in. So you know what that means. You know I always get first dibs. Here we go. Oh, there we go. Woo. That's my exercise for the day. But now that the netting is on, I can now go by each of these legs and bolts, okay, and tighten them all. Gonna get everything secure, and then I can finally take these hoops right here and I can loop it around and clasp them just like that. All right guys, so we got a bonus assembly. I just saw that this trampoline comes with a basketball hoop, a little Spider-Man and Venom basketball hoop. It didn't come with instructions, so I'm gonna have to kind of figure out how this thing goes together. It doesn't look too difficult. It comes with 4 bolts and then 4 sort of post washers type of thing. So I'm gonna try and get this thing on and hopefully it looks good and hopefully it looks stable by the time it's done. All right, we're just about finished. Let me show you the finished product in 3, 2, and it's a wrap, guys. Newly assembled trampoline. And of course, there was some weird little nuances, weird little things that I found in doing this assembly, but because of years of trampoline assembly experience that we have, I was able to get this all put together. Unfortunately, Shayna right now is out on some errands, so I don't get the joy of seeing her and her kids, you know, jump for joy, no pun intended, for their new trampoline. But again, I know we're gonna put smiles on their faces as soon as they see it and they start jumping on it. Of course, I will be back here in the fall to disassemble it. Again, thank you, Renee, the matriarch of our customers, for referring us to your niece to assemble her trampoline. I hope that they can enjoy it for years to come.